Hello and welcome to the forecast for April 14th until the 20th. My name is Desiree Deslunay, acupuncturist, herbalist, and astrologer, keeping you up to date with all of the changing energies that we are impacted by. We are knee deep into Aries season, and we've been discussing this major shift that occurred not too long ago as the planet of Neptune has moved into Aries. So I'm going to share my screen and I want to do like a little overview of Neptune before we officially dive into the whole forecast. So please make sure to like, subscribe, and share away so that others can benefit from this information. And hit that bell so that you're notified every time a new video is up. Okay, now I just wanted to, actually let me make this really big, my apologies, here we go. So I wanted to give a little bit of an overview of the timelines that Neptune is a part of. And if you recall, Neptune stays in a sign on average around 14 years, and it takes 165 years to fully orbit through all of the zodiac signs. Now, if we take a look at where Neptune was in the past, I wanted to show you how it impacts the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. Neptune gives us a picture, a snapshot, during that time period of culturally what the global community is into, what the human community is into, what is favored, what is admired, what is important, what is highlighted. And so I wanted to show you how Neptune performs essentially in all of these different signs. So if you take a look at Capricorn, when Neptune was in Capricorn in 1984 is when it entered and stayed there until 1996. Now, Capricorn energy is very stable. It's more predictable in nature. It's about structure and hierarchy. In that 14-year period, like climbing up the corporate ladder was really important. When we're talking about hierarchy and status and achieving like a higher position, someone who held positions like CEO, manager, things of that nature, they were the ones that were very well respected. It is about organization. It is about planning. It's about thinking long term of the future. It's leadership. It's fear of failure too, wanting to make sure to be a success, a long-term success. So this need to succeed really came up out of Neptune in Capricorn. I mean, the corporate culture, I feel like, was really alive and kicking at that time. The obsession, the idolization of climbing the corporate ladder, for example, I feel like that was a peak period here from 1984 to 1996. And then we had a shift. Oh, this should be more around 1996, 98. The thing is, when we're talking about slow moving planets, they dip in and out of two signs for a little bit. But when we're talking about the earlier like 2000s, the end of the 90s and early 2000s up to 2012, Neptune was in Aquarius, okay? And with Neptune being in Aquarius, Aquarius has to do with like having progressive ideas and having being more humanitarian. And when we're talking about like challenging social norms, societal norms, Aquarius is all about that. It is into the new age practices. You're going to see the birth of more new age practices happening in Aquarius, more like unconventional ways of thinking and unconventional types of spirituality was birthed during the Aquarius season. And also, Aquarius rules technology. So as you can see, this was a time period where we had incredible advancements in innovative technologies. For example, like the smartphone was born during the time of Neptune in Aquarius. So revolutionary ideas and optimization and efficiency, right? That is what technology absolutely gave us. I'm sure like Uber was born around this time, to give you an idea. It's very like rebellious in nature. And friendship and community is another major theme of Aquarius. I feel like this was also the time period when like communal living started to become popular. So then we had Neptune transition into Pisces around 2012 and then all the way up into more recent times, okay, and to March 30th in 2025. And Neptune actually does very well in Pisces. They have a lot of similarities, and we're going to see, the heightening of intuition and sensitivity, the rise of people classifying themselves as hypersensitive, as an empath, became more upfront and center, more known. And this is also a time when like plant medicine and psychedelics started to take rise and even legalized. So Neptune has to do with poisons. It has to do with altered states of consciousness, altered reality, its dreams, its visions, and its spirituality. So as you can see, like we're going to have more of these transcendental type of experiences that the culture is seeking out. Okay, that's the zeitgeist. So here we see the rise of like spiritual retreat centers, for example, or people going to have these transcendental experiences. People who go to week-long intensives and workshops. A long time ago, around this time period, I believe it was like 2019, January 2019, I went to, for example, a Joe Dispenza retreat that was like a week-long meditation. So the rise of meditation and breath work, you're going to see a lot of that happening in Aquarius and Pisces season as Neptune is in those zodiac signs. So as you can see, like these outer planets, they have a greater impact on collectively what we all are into, what we're all focusing on, and what we value and what we care about, and what's becoming popular, what is just like moving through humanity, and what is rising in demand and popularity. So now, as Neptune has transitioned into Aries, right, we've got 2025 to 2039. For the next 14 years, Aries is going to be the theme. And this is about individuation. This is about the individual, and not so much like as being part of the group. So focusing on what makes each one of us very unique. I can also see more respect towards, people's personal values and ideologies, rather than trying to force feed, some kind of opinion or so yes, individuality and being able to stand up for yourself and being able to assert yourself and really find your own personal power. Those types of topics and themes are going to be highly valued. What makes you different? What makes you unique? What sets you apart? These are the kind of questions that everyone is starting to ask themselves. Okay, so I just like a mini little lecture essentially to give you this perspective and how much like Neptune really influences all of us, and what we're going to be putting our time and attention towards, and what we're going to be spending our money on, for example. Okay, so that is just to essentially like highlight this whole Aries season in which we are in. Now let's talk about some of the other aspects that are happening besides Aries being so prominent. We also have Moon in Scorpio on Monday. So we're kicking off starting on Monday. This is not the most favorite position of the Moon, and it can lead to a lot more intense emotional experiences. So it could be very passionate as well. It could be very passionate, it could be very focused, it can be obsessive too, but it can increase intuition. This is a very intuitive placement, so you might be able to read people better and read into things better. It brings out what's hidden. It's able to find the things that are hidden underneath. But it can also make us a bit more vulnerable. And there's also power struggles that happen when we're dealing with Scorpio as well. Might have a desire for privacy, but just be open to the possibility of having mood swings. That's something that I notice, or just wanting to just be private, just not really wanting to put it all out there, not really wanting to share everything that you are going through. So it is, however, a nice placement if you are trying to if you're trying to dig and understand and reflect and bring more self-awareness. It's a nice placement for that. It would be great for any kind of healing work, energy work, emotional work, therapy, things of that nature. I do like seeing someone where I am, receiving transformation, experiencing transformation, where someone's holding space for me to have that when Moon is in Scorpio. Okay, now if you take a look at Mars down here, picture this. Instead of feeling drained, doubting yourself, putting everyone else's needs first, you then confidently express yourself and live on fire with your soul's mission and maintaining your boundaries, tapping into this rich inner well of peace. This transformation is indeed possible as I live it myself every day. This is exactly why I created Rise and Thrive. This is a transformative membership that combines the wisdom of Chinese medicine, the use of essential oils, and other healing practices that shift you from surviving to thriving. So click down on the link below and Rise and Thrive community so that you are on the journey to peace, to harmony, and authentic living. Mars is still in Cancer. It is so close to leaving Cancer, and Mars, it's not in its best position in Cancer. It prefers not to be here. It's a bit more weakened, and it does though have many, many, many trines. You see all these solid like blue lines. The thicker the line, the stronger that aspect is, the tighter that orb is. And you can see that we have Mars at 28 degrees in a trine with Venus and Saturn, and in an exact trine at 28 degrees of Mercury. So Mars is providing some of its energy, some of its passion and drive and vitality towards all of these planets. So as you can see, like Venus, for example, is relationships. So we're going to see more passion and enthusiasm in connecting with our partner or connecting with close relationships. We're going to see sustained effort and follow through with Mars and Saturn. To give you an idea, Mars is really great at starting things, and Saturn is great at continuing what was started. And so this sustained effort, consistent effort, discipline, structure, organization, and planning, all of that is also being activated a bit from the Mars. And then with Mercury, Mercury also does deal with like scheduling and planning and organization too. So it'll be helped out there. It will also impact the way that we speaking with more excitement, speaking with passion, or motivating, inspiring yourself and motivating yourself, as well as infusing that into the people around you as well. So we have all of these trines. It is also in trine with Neptune, which then further activates, the need to pursue our own dreams and desires. That's one of the big themes of Neptune in Aries, is really going forward and initiating, our manifestation of our goals and our pursuits and our visions and our dreams. Neptune is dreams and visions, and Mars is action. And so in this beautiful positive conversation, it's harmonious. It's not just like a disconnected dream. It is a very activated and engaged dream, especially with all of these planets conjunct here. So that gives you an idea of how impactful Mars is right now. We do have Mars opposite Pluto. Now, granted, do you see how this opposite line is a little bit faded? It's not, at its peak right now. It's not completely exact as Pluto's at 3 degrees. So we have a hint of this Pluto Mars opposition. And this is an intense opposition, okay? But it's kind of like at the beginning stages here, but it does provide a little surge of energy too. I think Pluto's has got a lot of power and intensity behind it, and same with Mars, the fiery planet. So together, it does initiate transformation. It can act as a catalyst. And I think of it this way, like Pluto, because this is going to be my positive higher octave expression interpretation of this, because sometimes Mars and Pluto is not a happy conversation in opposition. But the way that I see this is that Pluto is funneling even more transformative power to Mars, which then Mars is feeding in trine with all of these other planets. So this will help you in developing even more like strategic thinking, strategic skills, being able to navigate even challenging and complex situations. If you come up against any obstacles or challenges or crisis, Pluto and Mars opposition is going to blast through them. So this is going to get stronger as the days pass, and then we'll obviously hit that peak, but it's going to be around for some time. I think for a few weeks at least, since Pluto doesn't move very fast and Mars also doesn't move ridiculously fast like the moon either. So that conversation will be sticking around for a while. Okay, one thing I do love is Uranus right here. It's in Taurus, and this will eventually be leaving Taurus, by the way. Uranus is going into Gemini in July, and that's going to be our last and final piece to this whole like changing landscape and new world we're entering into. We got the Pluto in Aquarius, now we've got the Neptune in Aries, and the third and final piece to this is when Uranus goes into Gemini July 7th. So we have a little bit of time. This gives us a little window to start to familiarize ourselves with this whole Neptune and Aries situation. Now, Uranus is in a nice sextile to Venus. Okay, it's also in sextile to Saturn as well, and the North Node, and even Mercury. So as Uranus is the planet that brings change, that brings innovation. It can be very disruptive. But what I like about this is that it's going to help support us to really like problem solve and think outside the box and be very creative and pivot where we need to in our relationships, in our long-term plans. So Venus is our relationships, Saturn's going to be our long-term plans, and also our goals too. And then Mercury is how we're viewing things, how we're thinking, how we're expressing, and how we're communicating all of this change. And so Uranus is helping us to transition. And Uranus always brings the next evolution. It is always an upgrade, okay? Even if it's tumultuous in nature, it's an upgrade. I feel that with this sextile, that it is making it as easy as possible. We're trying to like smooth out all of the rough edges here as we're changing and shifting into this new landscape that we're about to move into. So just know that the changes that are happening, as insane and chaotic and fear inducing as we see all around us, and things are markets crashing, there's a lot of change. Understand that in the end, after we get through the storms here, it is going to be for a good purpose. I mean, I can tell you personally, not that I enjoyed the pandemic, nor was that happy times, but I do know a lot of people, and even myself, that I changed for the better through that season. It was a time where I was able to really reflect and reevaluate like what was important to me and how I wanted to be in my relationships and how I wanted to be engaged and involved with the world. And that's when I had my separation. Like there was a purification, it was a cleansing. And so we're going through that kind of experience. Hopefully not another pandemic, but we have our own unique flavor of destruction that's happening right now. And many times, like a destruction needs to happen in order for a new thing to resurrect, to be erected. So I hope you get some comfort in that everything crumbling and falling apart, it's expected. It's part of the cycle of death and life. And so we are going through a kind of a death right now and preparing for the new life to arrive. All right. So that's our Monday. And we do have like all the things I was talking about, Mars opposite Pluto, this whole Uranus, all the trines from Mars. Those are going to be happening throughout the entire week. And it's going to be mostly the moon that is making the major moves and changes from day to day. So Tuesday, we still have our moon in Scorpio. So it's still an intense feeling day. And then we're just going to amplify that by having an opposition to Uranus. So this is probably the big standout one, is that this does bring some instability. This does bring some mood swings as well, but expect the unexpected is a Uranus opposite moon. Okay. Expect the unexpected. Expect to feel things that you weren't planning on feeling that day. You might even have like a need to be rebellious and a need to just kind of liberate yourself and free yourself. That's a lot of pressure that Uranus is putting upon the moon. You're going to need to stabilize change. Usually we see unexpected changes happening when Uranus is talking to the moon in this way. So stabilize yourself in some way, shape, or form. Remember, moon is in Scorpio. It's in a water sign. Doing some kind of water treatment will probably help you out. If you are having to pivot and adjust this day and rearrange things and have to put out fires and, dealing with things you didn't really want to. I will say though, the moon is pretty well supported by a lot of these other planets. You see moon trine with, we've got with Venus, moon trine with Saturn. We also have moon trine with Mercury. So that's really nice. Even Neptune to a certain degree. So all of these planets are giving us good connection with people. It is giving us a little bit of stability. That Saturn there, that might be the saving grace here that can give us that perspective of just being grounded, like take a breath, take it easy. We can plan properly because Saturn gives the gifts of planning and strategic planning and organization. So if you've got to rearrange things, like we've got Saturn talking to the moon, and it's like, hey, relax, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out and we'll adjust what we need to adjust. No big deal. Like it's solution oriented, okay? And then Mercury with the moon, that's just going to help with feeling like, okay, we can do this in a smooth way and we can plan this thing in a smooth way, and you're just kind of roll with the punches essentially. So that's really nice that even if surprising things come up that is not really like what you wanted, you're going to be able to flow with it and you're going to be able to roll with it. Okay. And that's the beauty of this whole, like all of these trines going to the moon. Okay, so that's our Tuesday. And then we take a look at Wednesday, we do have a shift. Oh, the moon goes into Sagittarius. It's going into a fire sign. So this brings a bit more optimism, a little bit more joy, a little bit more like the glass is half full instead of half empty. Yeah, because probably Moon in Scorpio is more of like the glass is half empty. So we're going to have a mood shift here once Moon is in Sagittarius. It's more adventurous. It's lively. It's dynamic. It's excited. It's a bit happier. It's a little bit happier, more lighthearted in its approach versus when it's in Scorpio. So have a little sense of humor. Sometimes it gets bored though. It gets restless, and it needs to have a little bit of fun. So when we think fire signs, usually there needs to be some kind of fun, new component. Sagittarius loves new. It wants to experience new stuff, try new things, taste new things. So that's kind of my main message when Moon's in Sagittarius is go for new. Do something new, something different that you haven't done before. It's like it loves to just expand its world and expand its mind. Like it wants to see and experience more out of life than it has up to this point. And that is very classic Moon in Sagittarius. We do have it in trine with Mercury. It also has a trine to Mars. But you see these lines, these blue lines, they're not like, they're faint. They're not really, really strong, but it doesn't hurt, It doesn't hurt to have a little bit more passion, to have a little bit of just a smidge of some excitement. Think of it as like a sprinkle added to the Moon in Sagittarius. And, fun communication, just like some fun banter going on. And then let's see, it's even with Neptune. Yeah, a little bit of Neptune there. A little bit of, okay, fun and play is the name of the game here on Wednesday. Fun, play, passion, excitement, enthusiasm. Honor your Moon for that. Let's do that. We do even have Moon sextile Pluto right here, this blue star, but it's faint. It's not like super dark. It's not thick. It's not a super tight orb either. And this does allow some intuitive insights. It does heighten intuition too. And it does help us to let go. So I'd say, kind of let your hair down and not be so serious would be the gift of Monday, the energies, of Wednesday. These are the gift of the energies for Wednesday. Now, let's go on to Thursday. So on Thursday, we have Moon that is opposite Jupiter, and it is still in Sagittarius. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So it's a little combination, okay? It can definitely give us even more in like happiness and joy and optimism and fun. But it can also be a little overindulgent. Now, just be careful on Thursday. Have fun, but not too much fun. Let's not have a hangover on Friday, okay? So this is where we have to be careful of overindulgence. Overindulging in play, overindulging in food, or spending money, or some substances, or whatever you find that is an escape or that's play for you. We just don't want to do it in excess here. But it can make you very generous and warm and wanting to socialize and connect and have a good time. And Moon is also in trine with the Sun, which also gives this free-flowing nature and very ease in the dynamics of your relationship. This would be a good time to be connecting with people too. Let's see if there's anything else worth mentioning. We have Pluto, sextile Mercury. Yeah, and even the connections you have, it's light, but it's deep. Okay, you have some depth to the connection. So go socialize on Thursday, or at least like phone a friend, okay, and have a fun like little girls chit chat. Sometimes I'm amazed at what a 30-minute phone call does for me, especially when I'm home alone most of the time with my children. So Friday, we have a nice solid trine between the Moon and the Sun. Moon is still in Sagittarius. So we're still in that lighthearted, optimistic, like feeling hopeful and also needing some adventure too. And it's in a great trine. See this thick blue line to the Sun, because Moon is at 29 degrees and Sun is at 28 degrees. And this is going to, and then Sun is in Aries. So you need some adventure here. We need something new, different, fun, exciting, thrilling. Let's go for something thrilling on Friday and do it with people. That would really enhance the experience of the day. Do it with people. We also have some squares, though. We do have some squares. You'll see these red lines here. They are square to Neptune. It's square to Saturn, Venus. There's a lot of squares, and Mercury as well. Now, at least we have that moon and the sun in trine, because that does help us feel, pretty comfortable in our own skin. It helps us to feel more confident, just at ease with who we are. There's that smooth flow of energy personally and with other people. And so there's like a emotional stability there. And I think that's our saving grace to the fact that there are definitely some squares going on. When we have moon square Mercury, just be careful in misunderstandings, in conversation, some miscommunication, but it's also good for self-reflection too. And it can cause some impatience here, especially with all this fiery energy, like Mercury's in Aries now, okay? And so it can cause a little bit of irritability and frustration. We have moon also in square with Venus over here. And this can cause some challenges in self-love too. And the need for validation from others kind of kicks in when we have this square to Venus. But it can inspire creative expression. So just know that, with squares, like, there is a potential for some challenges there, but there's also a potential for growth. And that's why, like, when I look at red lines, when I see oppositions and I see squares, yeah, shit can go down for sure. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And at the same time, it can be like the thing that ignites change, the thing that ignites growth. I mean, because there's energy there. There's a lot of energy present there. And that energy could be a catalyst for transformation. So we can use it to our benefit too. We also have moon square Saturn. This can cause us to feel a little bit more vulnerable, maybe even guarded, emotionally guarded too. Sometimes it's challenging to fully open up and be completely vulnerable when we have a square to Saturn as well. Okay. We do have, let's see, Sun square Mars. There is this one here. So we're going to move on over to the Sun and the square to Mars. I love, first of all, the Mars is in Leo. Yeah, look at that. So Friday, that's the big change here. This is a total vibe shift. So remember I was saying Mars, it's been in Cancer forever because it was in retrograde, and it doesn't really like to be in Cancer because you've got fire that's being doused by all this water. Now Leo is a fire sign. So now we have this fiery planet in a more appropriate type of environment in a fire sign. So this is going to really stimulate our energy. You might notice more actual physical energy and vitality just like rising up inside of you. This is going to increase. Remember this whole discussion about Neptune and Aries, right? And now we're talking to the sun in Aries with Mars and Leo. It's going to increase our passion for our desires, like what we really, really care about, what we need, what is fun, what is play. Leo is so much about fun and play. So it's time to be selfish. It's just like, I want what I want, what I want. I want to do this, I want to do that. And there's just going to be a lot of people just doing what they want. And I think it's great. And so enjoy this time. With that square though, this can, remember, it can stimulate and activate when we have squares. So it can increase your energy and increase your drive and your motivation for sure. It can increase your desire to take action and pursue your goals and ambitions. It can increase it. And it can also make us impulsive, okay? It can make us impulsive. It can make us rebellious. It can make us a little bit conflict oriented. It can make us a little bit more like assertive. We also have this Pluto opposition that's starting to get tighter. Right? It's getting tighter. That line is getting thicker. So the need to assert yourself. Oh, wow. It's actually got a T-square. So from Pluto to Sun, right? And then from Mars to Sun, those are squares and then opposition. So look, this is so much about power struggles and authority. And there might be some conflict against authority. Like, you don't want to be told what to do. I think a lot of people are going to start sensing like, you know what? Don't tell me what to do. I know what's best. I know what's right. Like, so being micromanaged is going to piss you off. It's going to piss people off. People are not going to want to be micromanaged here. No. People want to be independent. People want to be free. People want to do things they feel is the right way to do things, and it's going to be about boundaries. There's going to be a lot of discussions around boundaries and really asserting oneself and like drawing the line. Like, no, that's not okay. You can't say that to me that way, or I'm not going to do that. That's not acceptable. So I feel like people are just going to be a bit more like, just bold, just more bold and sticking up for themselves and standing up for themselves. There's going to be more of that happening. So there's going to be a bit more tension and more conflict and aggression and fighting that could rise up from all of this. Yeah. So big deal. Friday's big deal, big day. Enjoy. Let's see what happens. Saturday. So Saturday, we've got a shift with the moon. The moon is no longer in a fire sign. I mean, just look, on Friday, we have the sun in fire. We have the moon in fire. And then we've got Mars finally in Leo, the transitions to Leo in fire. Okay. And a lot of these are communicating with one another. This is a very fiery day. Friday is fiery, okay? The feistiness left and right. And then Saturday, we do have the moon, though, in an earth sign. So look, do you see there are no lines to the moon? This is an unaspected moon. I feel like it's going to be quite a drastic shift from Friday to Saturday because the moon is not communicating with anyone, no other planets. And here in Capricorn, it's more emotionally stable. It's calmer. It's a bit more like analytical, more rational. It's dealing with responsibilities, so it's more serious. And it's going to be more yin, so internal, reflective. I would say maybe it just wants to work hard. Capricorn loves to work hard. Just be disciplined and do something that is investing in your long-term health, wealth, future, whatever. So when it's detached like this, I feel it being a bit more isolated, like meaning it's not communicating, it's unaspected with anyone. It just wants to be on its own and doesn't want to be a part of all the drama on this day. And this can bring just a lot of independence is what I'm saying. So a lot of emotional independence, a lot of emotional resilience as well. So let me know how Saturday goes for you. Right. So Sunday, last day of the week, we have moon still in Capricorn, but look at this. Now it's aspected in many ways, actually. It has a square to the sun. Sometimes and we have the sun moving into Taurus. So now we're officially entering Taurus season. So we've just shifted from so much fire. We still have a lot of fire because, we have Neptune and Mercury there, but our luminaries, sun and moon, okay, important parts in the sky. All of those have gone through so much fire energy in the last few days, in the last week, and then now they are shifting into this earth energy. So we're going to start to feel like, I would say, calmer on Sunday, a bit more just grounded, more yin, more internal. And then it has also some sextiles going on. We've got sextiles to Venus, which that is going to further give us more emotional balance, more nurturing quality rather than, go on a wild, crazy adventure. No, it's going to be more nurturing. It does have an opposition to Mars, okay? But that red line, it's a bit weaker. It's not like super like strong thick red lines, so it's a little bit weaker. I changed the settings on this so that we could start to see the intensity of an aspect. Is it really strong or is it a weak influence? And so this one can bring some excitement and energy for sure, and some feel like more passionate feelings too, but it can lead to impulsivity. But look, the thing is, with Moon in Capricorn and the Sun going to Taurus in these earth signs, I feel like you'll have less of an issue with being super irate and super impulsive or reckless in nature. We do have moons also sextile Saturn, which that's a grounding planet. So that's why I'm saying I'm not too concerned about this moon opposite Mars. Saturn brings structure, brings responsibility, brings security and stability. So we're going to get that beautiful influence from Saturn. It's also trine Uranus. So this can make us want to be more independent too. And I already talked about the moon in Capricorn. Like that need for just being independent, self-reliant is going to come through. What I do like about Uranus trine the moon, and it's a strong trine, it's almost exact by degree, is it does provide like sudden insights and those intuitive hits and realizations as you're reflecting at your life today or in the recent past, where you're just like, oh, okay, now I understand why. My aha moments, I notice a lot of aha moments when we have this trine between the moon and Uranus. We do have moon also getting close to Pluto. I mean, it's not, let's see, 4, 5, it's 7 degrees away. Okay. So it's not like super close, but it's getting there. And this one can also provide like deep insights too, and transformation, and a lot of potential for healing, emotional healing that comes from this combination too. So all in all, I like Sunday. I do like Sunday. It's just, it's going to be grounding after all of the fiery energy that our system has been going through. And sometimes, we don't need wildfires inside of you. we want to make sure that you are also feeling grounded and balanced. And that's the beauty of how things are so ordered, that it's like a back and forth, let's get some activating and then get some calming, and activating and some calming. That's how cycles run. So, all right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and we will see you in the next forecast. Do you find yourself giving more than receiving, doubting your worth, and even hiding your powerful gifts from the world? These are signs of being disconnected from your soul's highest expression. I'm Desiree DeLune, acupuncturist, herbalist, and astrologer, and through my own healing journey, I have learned how to shift these lower frequency states into empowered living. I bring together Chinese medicine, essential oils, astrology, and work that combines ancient wisdom with modern healing practices. So, introducing to you my Rise and Thrive membership community. This is a very unique program where we provide quarterly workshops, guided meditations, essential oil blends that are uniquely designed, customized to serve the needs of very hypersensitive, empathic women. So unlike one-off workshops or some generic self-help program, understand that Rise and Thrive offers ongoing support and practical tools to keep you progressing. This is creating lasting, progressive, evolving transformation. And at just $61 a quarter, it's the most affordable way to work with me consistently. So click down on the link below to join Rise and Thrive, and you can begin your journey to more authentic and empowered living.